Assetto Corsa. Is it worth a buy? Let's read the words of the developer. Assetto Corsa features an advanced DirectX 11 graphics engine that recreates an immersive environment, dynamic lighting and realistic materials and surfaces. The advanced physics engine is being designed to provide a very realistic driving experience, including features and aspects of real cars never seen on any other racing simulator, such as tyre flat spots, heat cycles including graining and blistering, very advanced aerodynamic simulation with active movable aerodynamic parts controlled in real time by telemetry input channels, hybrid systems and KERS and energy recovery simulation. Extremely detailed with single player and multiplayer options, exclusive licensed cars reproduced with the best accuracy possible thanks to the official cooperation of car manufacturers. So what is Assetto Corsa then? Well, it's a racing simulator and it has a lot of tracks, a lot of cars and amazing physics. It looks great, sounds good, feels good. Let's start with the options. You get a lot of options in this game, as you would expect with a AAA game. You've got full control over the visuals, the audio and controls. You can set up this on an Xbox controller if you're on a PC, and it is coming to consoles in 2016. To get the best out of this game, you're going to need a wheel and pedal system. As with any racing game, you shouldn't be really playing these on a keyboard or with a controller. You can kind of get away with a controller if you turn a lot of the driving aids on, but why would you want driving aids on in a racing game? I mean, the whole point of playing racing games is to get that simulation feel. We're not talking arcade games here, you know, we're not in Forza, we're in a proper racing car simulator. You want to feel every little bit of the road, and you get that with this game. You do. The actual physics of this game are sublime with the force feedback wheel. If you have a decent wheel and pedal system, you're going to love the whole driving aspect of this game. You can feel as you go into corners, you can feel understeer, oversteer, you can feel it building up before you lose it. You know when you're going to lose it. It's so realistic. It's better than Project Cars in that sense. It doesn't look as nice as Project Cars, and I don't want this to be a Project Cars versus Assetto Corsa review, because I think you should have both. If you're a driving fanatic, you should buy both of them, because they're both amazingly good games as far as the racing side of it, the driving side of it goes. Project Cars has VR support, which tips it for me, and it has the amazing helmet view, which I love. I think the sounds on Project Cars are better as well, and the graphics are better on Project Cars, but I tell you what, I wish Project Cars had the handling and physics of Assetto Corsa, because it's better on Assetto Corsa. You get more feel of the car with the force feedback on this game. It's the best racing game I've ever played for car handling and feedback. It just is. There's nothing else as good. Take my word for it. It really is. And I'm a massive driving simulation fanatic. I always have been, which I'll go and do shortly.
Your lap time's a little bit erratic. Try and line up some strong, consistent laps. Keep focused. We'll get back on it.
But this game, it is fun to drive, and the circuits are very accurate. They've been done with laser scanning, and they are really accurate. There's not a massive amount of circuits, but it has some really good ones. It's nice. It really has a nice feel to it. You get quite a few cars as well, and there's a lot more as DLCs. They don't go up to Formula 1, but there's Formula 3 cars. There's a lot of supercars in this. You've got the old F40s, you've got the 458 Italia, you've got the Pagani Zondas, stuff like that, and you've got your usual, your BMWs, your Audis. You've got a lot of cars from Lotus. You've got some old cars, you've got the new cars, you've got the RUF, which is the Porsche. So there's a lot of different cars. They all come with nice detailed interiors, exteriors, and they look really nice. I didn't come across any weather effects in this when I was playing, which is a bit of a shame. And like I say, the graphics don't quite look up to par with Project Cars, but the cars drive really well. They feel nice when you're going around the track. The AI is not brilliant, but it isn't brilliant in any of the cars. I have been knocked off a couple of times, which is a bit of a shame. Having marshal flags and all that is missing as well, which is a bit of a shame. You know, why can't we have marshals at the side of the road with the flags? And you know, let's do this properly. If you're going to do a racing simulator, do a racing simulator. Don't do a half-assed one. But and this is me gripe that we're coming up to now. I touched on this with Half-Life. We're kind of in this. I don't know what's wrong with game developers at the minute. They don't seem to get it. They don't seem to understand that we want everything in a game, and we should get everything because it is possible. I mean, I'm going to drop a huge bombshell. There is no pit stops in this game. In the single-player game, there is no pit stop. How can you possibly call this a racing simulator when you don't have pit stops? I mean, there's pit stops in pretty much every motorsport. You know, it's not like, oh, there's no pit stops in motorsport, Mac. Well, there is. I mean, you know, you go to American NASCAR, there's pit stops. Formula 1 pit stops, Formula 3 pit stops. You know, there's pits everywhere. You need pit stops. I mean, you can't go and do a full race weekend without pit stops. I mean, I'm going to go back in time again. People say, oh, Mac, it's always better in the good old days. Yeah, it was. I'm not just saying it was better in the good old days to coin a phrase and to sound like some old twat. Teenagers today just think I'm a miserable old c*** that hates everything. But they don't understand that I've been brought up and played probably more games than most people. I mean, I must have played thousands of games in my time. And so, for example, you play a first-person shooter, right? You're always going to compare it to the best first-person shooter you've ever played. Racing games, the best racing game that I have ever played for simulation quality was Jeff Crammon's Formula 1 Grand Prix. Now, Project Cars is the only game that's actually come close to that. And the reason Jeff Crammon's F1 GP over 20 years ago was so good is because I could go to a full race weekend. Let's say I went to Imola. I could select Imola and say, right, I'm doing a full race weekend with the full grid, 56 laps or 72 laps, whatever I don't know how long that circuit is, but let's say it's, for argument's sake, 70 laps. I can do 70 laps. Now, when I'm there, I get the full treatment because I do a free practice, I do qualifying session 1, qualifying session 2, another free practice. I can go into the pits during them free practice. I can select suspension, I can select my brakes, the balance of the brakes, I can select the wings on the front and back of the car and change them all. I can select what tyres I'm going to use. Am I going to go for a one pit stop tyre strategy and maybe put a harder compound tyre on because you've got hard and soft compound? Harder compound doesn't give you the grip, but it lasts a lot longer. Soft compound gives you a hell of a lot of grip, but you'll burn them out after 30 laps on probably less than that on a twisty circuit. So you've got to employ a bit of pit strategy. You've got to look at your fuel as well, how much fuel you're going to take on. Are you going to run with half a tank in soft compound tyres and just blast away from the rest of the field, hopefully making up about a 17-second lead so you can come in and pit and fuel and go back out in the lead? It's all about simulation racing. Formula 1 Grand Prix had that. I was doing that 22 years ago. And on the day of the race, you do a parade lap. Even had the parade lap at the beginning. It was, and that was 22 fucking years ago. Why aren't we doing that now? Why haven't we got that now and just bettered it with better graphics, better handling, better physics and sound and all that? We haven't. What we've done is we've said, oh fuck that, fuck the simulation side of it. Look, can you go third person? Yay. Have you got little vibrations on your fucking controller? yeah, you can do that. Honestly, this is my problem with gaming. It's kind of losing its touch of what makes a game good. It's got f*** all to do with how well it looks. It's about the depth of the gameplay. And I'm sorry, but games today are shallow as fucking puddles. This is another one. Assetto Corsa. You can't even have a fucking pit strategy in single player. You can't. So what are you left with? Need for fucking speed. I'm sorry, but what do I do now? Alright, I jump in a car, jump on a circuit. Alright, I want to do 30 laps. Alright, there's my car. Off I go. It's just pedal to the metal and drive. That's it. No strategy. It's just beat that cunt in front of you. And I need more. I need more. I'm sorry, but I need more than that in a racing game. I need a full strategy. I want the parade fucking laps. I want guys standing at the side of the road with waving the fucking flags. If I'm coming up on somebody that I'm gonna lap, I want some to wave a blue flag at us to make my penis go big so that I can say, "Hey Mac, you're gonna lap that sad bastard." I want that. If I see there's a crash halfway around the track, I want to see marshals, fucking yellow flags all over the place. I want the race stopped with a red flag. I want to see a fucking pace car on there. Get off your fucking arses, developers, and start making a fucking simulator, or stop calling these simulators because they're just not. It's Need for Speed on a fucking track. I know this is going to cause havoc. I know all the Assetto fanboys are going to be after me with pitchforks, but I'm in my secure bunker, so it's fine. You can't get it. What's that? You're already here? Shit! It's a fact. I came into this wanting a full-on racing simulator, and I get Need for Speed on tracks. It's sad, but like I say, if you're not bothered about the full race sim, then you're not a racing simulator fan, are you? Really? You're more of a, you just like the idea of overtaking stuff. Well, if you like the idea of flying around a circuit overtaking stuff, you're going to love this, because this game does that very, very well. It's also got drag strip, which is fabulous. You can pit any cars against each other in a drag race. I absolutely love that. I've been racing Zondas against F40s and all the rest of it, and it's great fun to see which is the fastest. It's also got a skid pan, which I haven't been on because that's not my idea of, you know, skid pans. I don't want a skid pan. I mean, if I want a skid pan, I'll go and play Forza or something, you know what I mean? This is supposed to be a racing game, not a fucking drifting skid pan thing. So there's Assetto Corsa. Amazing handling, amazing physics. It drives amazingly with the wheel and pedals. I mean, I'm going to play it again. It's not a shit game. Don't be fooled by my rant. This is not a shit game at all. It's an amazingly good, fun game to be driving around the tracks. It really, really is. And the cars look gorgeous as well. And it just drives so well. There's nothing like coming out of a bend, putting the gas down and just feeling that back end go and having to correct it. It's just so much fun. But I want more for $34.99. I want fucking pit stops. I want to feel like I'm doing a full race weekend. It's still getting updates. Pit stops are probably coming, but at this moment in time, they ain't there. They're here in multiplayer apparently, but I don't want to play this multiplayer because of all the fucking pricks that'll just be crashing on the first corner of the bottom of the straight. You know how it's going to be. I just want a racing game where on a Sunday afternoon I can just sit back for 2 hours and just do a full-on race meeting and have a great time. And I can't with this, which is a bit of a shame. So I guess I'm going back to Project Cars for that, and I'll come back to this once it's got pits, because I can tell you now, when this does get pit stops and gets the full-on flag treatment, it's going to be an amazing experience because it has the best driving. So there you go. Do you buy this? Is it worth a buy? Well, if you want the full race package with pit stops, it isn't worth buying. If you just want a really good driving racing game, then you don't mind the pit stops, then it's worth a buy. I'm going to thumb it up simply because the driving is so good. It's such a good feel, and it isn't a bad game overall, and there's not a great deal of good racing games out there. So there you go. Assetto Corsa is worth a buy.